Turkey's state-run news agency is reporting that Finnish officials will arrive in Ankara on Tuesday to discuss their country's bid to join NATO. The Anadolu agency report added that talks will focus on the extradition of individuals whom Turkey regards as terrorists. NATO member Turkey has threatened to block the membership process for both Finland and Sweden unless they meet its demands. Meanwhile, the new U.S. Arctic policy calls for enhancing its military presence in the far north following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Canada's defense chief also says that the country needs to boost its military presence in the north, even though he adds that no conflict is imminent. Well, joining us now to discuss NATO in 2022 is Dr. Alexander Moens, NATO expert and professor at Simon Fraser University. Dr. Moens, welcome to Forum Daily. Now, let's start with a brief background of the situation for our viewers. Why is Turkey resistant to Finland and Sweden joining NATO in the first place?
Turkey likes to get a good deal for itself on anything. So what it's trying to do is use this opportunity to get as many promises from Finland and Sweden to crack down on Kurdish independence leaders and members that may be in Scandinavia. It's a difficult game because some of these Kurdish people are legitimate political prisoners and refugees, and some of them are criminal. So I'm hoping that Finland and Sweden will be able to be careful, but eventually Turkey is not going to block their membership. So Turkey's just getting the best out of it for itself. It's a bit of a sideshow.
All right, Dr. Moens, well, for more of a broader perspective on the issue, what do the applications from historically non-aligned countries say about the importance of the NATO alliance overall?
A lot, because Finland and Sweden have, for the last 60 years, calculated that to stay non-aligned was a good, secure relationship with Russia. But over a matter of weeks and months, they realized that Russia's unprovoked aggression against Ukraine has no bounds, potentially. So they've decided to join. It's very good for them. It's very good for NATO. And it makes it very realistic that all of these countries depend on the transatlantic alliance, of which Canada is a member, to keep everyone secure from unprovoked aggression.
Now, on the topic of Russia's war, how would you describe NATO's response to the invasion of Ukraine so far?
Well, NATO has responded more than anyone could imagine, because ultimately Ukraine is not a member. And the way in which NATO members have sent weapons, supplies, assistance, training to a non-member, this is really quite astonishing. It's very justified. It's very necessary. In many, many ways, it's NATO that allows Ukraine to resist this aggression and to survive. But it's a very tough battle, and NATO members can always do a little bit more, but they are now beginning to run low themselves on some of the equipment they may need for their own contingencies.
Some interesting points you bring up there, Dr. Moens. Now, I want to bring this back to Canada, just about a minute left here, but given our proximity to Russia, how is Canada bolstering what could be considered NATO's northern border with Russia?
Mainly through words. We are just very good at words lately, and our armed forces, they realize that we need more strength, that we need more capability, we need more resources, we need more people, but our political leadership is still a little bit vague and a little bit uninvolved, I would dare to say. So we need a lot of work. We're one of the weakest participants right now in some of the NATO rearmament going on. We're one of the lowest spenders in NATO now, very different from the 1950s and 60s when we were a very substantial participant. So I'm hoping and looking forward to young people seeing this in our country and changing our future.
All right, lots to keep our eyes on. Dr. Moens, thank you again for joining us today on Forum Daily. Stay with us. Forum Daily will be right back after a short break. And when we return, we're going to be taking a look at the major news stories and headlines from around the world as Rishi Sunak is set to become the UK's next prime minister. We'll have more on that story and more news from around the world up next. Stay with us.